Did you ever have too much fruit and had no idea what to do with it?
Well, a fan, Mandolin Man 2006, sent us these bags of frozen muscadine grapes, and they took up half of one of our freezers. So we came up with a way to take care of that. We decided to make concentrated grape juice, and we're actually going to can and jar it up so that it's shelf stable. That way you don't have to keep it in the fridge too. There's 25 pounds of grapes here. We're expecting something like maybe 4 to 6 quarts of concentrated juice. Okay?
I know what you're thinking. What the heck are you guys gonna do with concentrated grape juice?
Oh,
The answer to that is easy. Anything we want to.
I can envision wine. You can be used for making a piment mead. We can put it in kombucha. Oh, the possibilities are pretty endless. There's a lot of things you can do. We can make like flavored grape sodas and those nifty hard seltzers that everybody's after. We can make one of those. Yeah, I used the word nifty because that's how I feel about them. They're weird. But whatever. People want it, so we're going to make them. But let's get started, shall we? Okay, so we dumped all the grapes into the pot, and as you can see, it pretty much filled it to the point that we were starting to wonder if we had enough. I did add, probably about half a gallon of water in there. You can't actually see it from this angle, but it is in there. And I have it on high heat because, well, all this stuff is frozen, and it's just going to take forever for it to boil anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Once it does get up to a boil, though, I'm going to turn the heat down. I want it to be like a simmer for a while. What we're doing here is we're A, pasteurizing all this fruit, and B, cooking it down so that it can release all the juices.
This is a surprisingly tedious task to get all these grapes separated and into this pot, but our kind and benevolent donator
Yeah.
had labeled each individual bag with this really funny different saying for each bag. I don't know how he came up with all that, but it has been a crazy year, so he had plenty to work with.
Yeah, it was all the year that this happened, and it was like some seriously funny stuff. I mean, I didn't get to read them all. Derica tried to read them off as we were doing it. We were both wearing rubber gloves at some point because it was so cold. My hand got frozen through my black rubber gloves, and I was literally using like the meat mallet to bang on these quart freezer bags to break up the ice chunk that was the grapes. It's pretty amazing. I don't know how long this is really going to take to heat up, but I'm expecting a while. So I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch that whole thing. We'll see in a bit.
As you can see here, we have cooked down the grape mixture to nearly half its original volume. This did take an extended period of time, so if you are attempting to do this with this large amount of grapes, I highly suggest you start as early in the morning as possible.
Okay, so now we want to dump it into here. And now we've mashed this all up and everything, smashed it against the side and everything. We got as much out as we can. What we have here is a 5-gallon bucket with a brew bag in it, and that's going to act as our filter. Now this mixture is still really hot, so I don't want to burn myself or Derica. Here we go. There's your ASMR for the day. Ow, something just burned the top of my head. Alright, we got all the goop. As much as we can. It's all good. Okay, the next step is I'm going to untie my bag, and I'm going to cinch it up and lift the bag up. And you can hear it draining. Now the trick here is to let it drain, but you don't want to squeeze too much because we'll pull out too much of those solids from the actual grapes. We've termed this video Grapes of Wrath for no other reason than it's just kind of funny. Now, I had said earlier that I guessed we would probably get somewhere between 4 and 6 quarts out of this. Right now, I have 4 quarts. I'm guessing there's probably another quart in this bag, though. A little bit of moderate squeezing, we'll get more out. Alright, so I'm going to set this into a clean bucket over here to drain some more because it's getting hot even through my gloves. Ugh. Time to rinse the gloves. All right, so we now have our sanitized, sterile, well, they be sanitized, not sterilized, jars. They were boiled in hot water. And we have the lids and rings. And we also have a 5-gallon bucket with a spout because I thought ahead. And we also have a Tigger screaming in the background. Hopefully she's leaving though. And all I'm going to do is open that spout and pour out the juice. I did get a chance to taste a little bit of this. It's incredibly sweet, so I do think we did concentrate it a little bit. I will take a gravity reading on one of these jars before we seal them up. But for now, I'm going to fill some jars. Okay, one important aspect of canning is when you put the lid on, you want to make sure that that seats properly without touching the seal yourself, and the ring should just be, they always say finger tight. That just means on there. It's meant to just hold that lid in place. That's all. So I'm going to fill the rest of these and we'll see in a bit. All right, so all we did is we put some water into the same pot that we used before, after washing it, of course. And we put our jars in there and made sure that the water goes about a 1/2 inch to an inch above the tops of the lids. And I have it on high heat so that it comes to a boil. You can see the steam there now. And what's going to happen is once that comes to a boil, I'm going to let that go for 10 minutes, then kill the heat, pull out the jars, and we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so that took an enormously long time. Not the last part, the bottling and the boiling took a long time, though. Like, wow. I mean, I don't know how people do this. But anyway, we don't can all that often. But when we do, it's always like a 3-day affair to get it done. Anyway, I did take a sample, and we did end up with exactly 5 quarts. Now, because we weren't thinking of taking a hydrometer reading, we didn't sanitize this equipment. So we will not be preserving the liquid in here. And I'm not going to drink it, but I might have Erica drink it or something. I don't know. But it came out at 1.080. Now, if you know, most commercial juices tend to come out between 1040 and 1055. So this is a little higher. It's almost double. So that means this is, in fact, a concentrated juice. But what that means is if we were to make a wine with just this, nothing else added, just pour yeast into that, you'd actually get something like, you know what? Let's figure it out. We have technology. We should be using it. So 1.080. Let's assume it goes dry because it probably would. 1.000 times 135. That's almost 11%. It's 10.8%. That would actually make a pretty decent wine without anything else added to it. I think that's pretty cool, and that's why we did this. Now, what are some of the things that we could do with this?
We could make a soda.
Mm-hmm.
We could make a grape-infused kombucha.
Yeah, I plan to do that.
The reason why I said that one is because a viewer/friend of ours sent us some, and it was delicious.
Yes,
so,
Beverly.
Thank
She
you,
gave
Beverly.
us honey, too.
Thank you. We could make wine, of course. We could make a mead by adding
Piment.
honey. Yeah.
Which I think a piment might be interesting because we only do have 5 quarts. After all that, we only have 5 quarts. I'd hate to use 4 of them to make 1 gallon of wine. This seems kind of wasteful. Instead, I could use 2 and use honey and some water and make piment.
We could also make a sparkling alcoholic spritzer, if you will.
Yeah, one of those hard seltzer types of things. Yeah, there's a lot. And I mean, geez, you could just pour it in a glass with some ice cubes and drink it too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't do that.
Sure. The sugar levels in this, because it is concentrated.
It's high.
I would dilute it if you were going to use it just as a juice.
And don't drink a lot of it at any one time. We're becoming more health conscious around here. And the amount of sugars in this would not be good for anyone. So just be careful with that. But these are now preserved, okay? They are shelf stable for, say, a year. 15 months is usually the most that most standards say you can something for. And now comes the fun part. We get to wait for the little pops. One of them already happened.
Yeah, this one's already popped. So what that is because they've been in a water bath, they heated, so they expand and pushed all the air out, and now that they're cooling, they're going to retract, and that pushes or pulls the little indentation on the top of the lids down, indicating that they are properly sealed.
Yeah, it's a vacuum is exactly what it is. And that means that there's no extra air in there to help with, bacteria growth. But the important thing about doing this is we cooked it so much that it was pasteurized. And no offense to Mandolin Man, but anytime I get fruit or things like that from an unknown source or somewhere that I was not there to see how it was handled, I like to make sure that it's taken care of. And that's why we pasteurized. Plus, they've been sitting in the freezer for a while. They did travel here. Who knows if they thawed and refroze? We don't really know. So it was best to pasteurize that, make sure that anything that could have been growing is dead. But then we put them in the bottles and re-pasteurize that whole bottle in the canner. And to me, that means this is safe as it can possibly be. So
once these have cooled completely, we're going to label them so that we know what's inside and what date we did this on, and then they're shelf stable.
Yes, for about 12 to 15 months or so. By the way, guys, if you like this video, look up. There's probably another one. You might like that one too. There it is. You heard it. Right on camera. We get one more? Guess not.